folks, you're not going to believe this, but a rising petition demanding the recall of U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra could throw a massive wrench into bilateral relations. This isn't just diplomatic theater; it's a direct threat to Canada's economic lifeline.
There is a petition about now, and it's related to our friend Pete Hoekstra and some of his actions. And it has been filed on the e-site, the e-petition site of the House of Commons. And I'll just flip over to that. And up it comes. And here we go. And I'll put the link to the petition in the chat in a few minutes. But essentially what it is reviewing his actions and his posts on social media and his comments regarding Canada and our sovereignty and the whole trade issue and irritants. And he says he's doing his job because he is a voice for the president here in Canada, and he's retweeting a number of the ramblings from the Oval Office. And he makes no apology about it, and he's insulted Canadians, and he's going on about the fact that we're staying away from the States, and just watching what's happening to a lot of the people coming over for the World Cup games in the U.S. and what they're running into at the border would be enough to make anyone want to stay away from the States, never mind what else is going on there. So he's been going on about that. And there are some actions that can be taken because there's kind of like a diplomatic protocol, and you are expected to abide by the outline of that diplomatic protocol when you're in another country and you're representing your own country. And the petition, which was filed by or initiated by a man from Toronto, and all of that information is here on the House of Commons website with the petition. Anyway, it's there, and also it says that he should be reprimanded, and if it's found that he's gone above and beyond what is acceptable, essentially, that the Canadian government go to the White House and demand that Hoekstra be recalled and get him out of the country.
Right.
So that's what the petition is essentially about. It's been sponsored by an MP here in Montreal. Mm-hmm. And what you do is when you go to, and I've got the link that goes right to this page. Down at the bottom, it's sign the petition. You can go to the next page and sign the petition. And you just fill it out. And then you hit enter, and your petition has been in. Now, this guy has been just a pain in the side of our government and the average Canadian when you get right down to it. Who the hell does he think he is? Coming in and saying what he's been saying and dumping all over Canadians, dumping all over our country, and echoing, yes, he's echoing the boss, but there's a diplomatic way of echoing the boss without ruffling the feathers of the country that you're in representing. Mm-hmm. And anyhow, so there is the petition. And what I'll do is, Eddie, do you have a couple of thoughts on our friend Hoekstra while I get busy and get that link into the chat?
You know what? Every time I see that there is some sort of interview that he's sitting across a table with and having discussions about Canada's relationships to the States, it makes my skin crawl. Every time I have some sort of a news flash bulletin come up on my phone, and it mentions Mr. Hoekstra, I know it's not going to be good. And you know what? I was thinking about this, Gary. What is it in today's administration in the United States being run by he who I won't mention his name, compared to the first time around that he who I won't mention his name on our show today had this going? Because if you recall back during his first term, right? The lady's name was Kelly Craft. She was the U.S. ambassador to the United States, and I don't think you and I heard anything inconceivably belligerent that came out of her as a representative of the United States in Canada in terms of our relationship, our political relationship as neighbors. You never saw anything coming out of this person that was belligerent and trivialized Canada as a country. Not once. Same boss, but not once did you see that. Now, flash forward a couple of mandates. We never heard anything from the Biden administration in terms of anything belligerent, which is to be expected. But lo and behold, here we are in this particular U.S. administration. And the whole difference here, Gary, is the individuals that surround this president. Can you name one of the people in the administration that demands respect or deserves respect from an individual, a citizen, a politician, anywhere around the world today? Pretty hard to say, yeah, this person in that administration is a go-to person. So Pete Hoekstra is the same kind of buffoon that surrounds the entire Trump administration this term, which is why, for the first time, I think, ever in my recollection, do we have an ambassador of the United States to Canada this belligerent. So it's just representation of the entire administration. Usually, an ambassador in representing his country in foreign land, he's an actual representation of the best that country can offer. Usually. Now, if this is the best Hoekstra can offer in terms of a profile of what America represents to Canada and what America represents to the world, well, you know what? This is not a very, very positive picture that he's painting, either as an individual. And don't forget, this is a seasoned politician. I think he was the ambassador to some country in Europe at some point. I don't recall exact, to Netherlands, I believe. He was ambassador to Netherlands. I wonder if the Dutch were experiencing the same thing, or is it because Canada was one of the few countries who basically told his boss to, take a leap into, take a jump off a boat into the water someplace, right? To go take a deep dive somewhere, don't come back up. Because Canada is pushing back. Hoekstra, representing Donald Trump, does not like us Canadians because we're pushing back. And this is the type of crap that we consistently see coming out of Hoekstra's mouth. And again, he's retweeting his boss's posts. He's paraphrasing his boss word for word. And, consistently coming back and saying, well, I don't understand why Canadians are boycotting our goods. Why are they boycotting our alcohol? I don't understand this. The tariffs are here to stay. Basically lump it and take, and that's the way it's going to be. Well, I find that very insulting as a Canadian. I'm not the 35% that you depend on in the United States that are going to take you word for word in terms of what you're trying to communicate. So I find it insulting that he thinks that we're Maple MAGA and we're just going to jump at what he says because his boss says something. I'm just completely speechless and really insulted by this man. So, Gary, to tell you quite honestly, when I saw that petition pop up a couple of days ago, I said, what? somebody's actually started this. Good on them. Where do I sign up? And you know what? The petition is actually, I actually read it. It's quite to the point in terms of what they're trying to accomplish with this petition. Okay, let's call a spade a spade. Let's say, for example, that the petition is put through, and the Canadian government does decide to ask his boss to remove him from our territory here in Canada. What do you think is going to happen as a consequence of that? Well, our ambassador in Washington is going to be put on a plane and sent back home. That's exactly what's going to happen. So I think at the end of the day, cooler heads are going to prevail. But I think that the thought and the concept of another government and its citizens, the citizens of another government filing a petition to get rid of an ambassador, I think in itself is what the message is. I don't think they're going to do it at the end of the day because it's going to create a political maelstrom that we probably won't be able to come back quickly. But I think the whole point of the petition is to show our displeasure, not just to the United States, but the rest of the world is watching this. This is making the media cycles, and the rest of the world are going to say, wow, look at these Canadians. They're basically telling the person whose name I won't mention that his crony is being thrown out, or people want to throw him out of their country. Bad publicity. Not that I think they care, but I think just as a dynamic for the United States and what it's supposed to represent, it's already a shit show with Hoekstra. And I think we're going to be demonstrating that as Canadians, we really don't want him here, although he's probably going to end up staying here. Now, I also believe, Gary, if my latest information is accurate, aren't they looking at actually moving him to another position within the administration today, something to do with intelligence and security or something like that? So, I think this entire petition might be a moot point at the end of the day, besides making our stance. And I think Pete there is being moved to a different position in intelligence, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I am just really, really happy that somebody initiated this this document, and it was sponsored by one of our MPs. And hey, you know what? 20,000 signatures in a couple of days, that's pretty good. And I'm hoping our show, and our viewers are gonna, take a look at this thing and then share it with their friends who believe that Mr. Hoekstra should be given the boot out of our country.
Well, I did drop the link to the petition in the chat, so it's there if you want to take advantage of it. I also just popped a question into the chat, and it's, at what point does diplomatic interference from our closest ally become completely unacceptable? Now, you mentioned Hoekstra in the Netherlands, and he was not recalled. There was word circulating on the internet, surprise, surprise, that he was recalled, but he was not. He actually served out his full term. He was appointed by Trump during his first term, and he served from January 2018 until January 2021, and left the post due to the standard change in presidential administrations following the 2020 U.S. election, which Biden won. So the reason that this issue has been brought up alongside the current one with the House of Commons petition is because he was plagued by a massive diplomatic and press scandal from the moment he arrived in The Hague.
Mm-hmm.
And it centered around fake news. He boldly denied making the statements on camera. Where is it here? Before arriving in the country, he was interviewed by a Dutch broadcaster and confronted about comments he made in 2015, claiming that the Islamic movement had thrown the Netherlands into chaos, resulting in no-go zones and politicians being burned. He boldly denied making those statements on camera, calling the reporter's question incorrect and fake news. The broadcaster immediately cut to footage of him saying exactly those words. In a bizarre twist right after the clip played, Hoekstra then denied that he had just used the phrase fake news moments prior. So, the confrontation on his very first day on the job in January 2018, Hoekstra refused to answer questions from Dutch reporters trying to clarify his past comments, and this led to a famous viral exchange where frustrated Dutch journalists told him bluntly, "This is the Netherlands. You have to answer questions." So how does it all play in here? Well, the Dutch government opted to manage the relationship pragmatically rather than formally declaring him persona non grata or demanding a recall. His past actions are being cited by critics of his current appointment to Canada. And those supporting petition E7124, his previous conduct in Europe is seen as a historical pattern demonstrating a willingness to violate diplomatic norms, clash with host country expectations of neutrality, and engage in inflammatory rhetoric. So that's the individual that the White House chose to put in as ambassador to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it all boils down to what really pushed it over the edge, I guess, for Hugh Winters from Toronto, the man who initiated the petition. And just for clarification, we reached out to the MP who tabled the petition on behalf of Winters. He declined to come on, and they passed along our information to Winters because there's no address or contact information on these petitions for the person who initiates it. The MP who supports it and tables it has all of that information, but they just don't give it out. So we asked that our request be passed on to Hugh Winters to come on tonight and talk to us about it. And we have not heard anything back from Winters at all. So, but we decided we would motor ahead with this. And what I guess really pushed Winters over the edge was him reposting the Truth Social Truth that was posted by the president regarding the recent some economic news and the fact that all he said was 51st state. Right. And Hoekstra thought it was great to and he said, well, I do that with all of the president's social media posts. It's up to me to get them out to on the platforms in Canada. Most people who are interested are following the U.S. president's Truth Social anyway. So that's what kind of pushed it over, and then there had been other things. Now, under established international diplomatic conventions such as the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, ambassadors accredited to a host nation are expected to maintain strict neutrality, decorum, and respect for the host country's sovereignty. We have not seen much of that.
Hasn't demonstrated much of that.
Yeah. So the petition argues the ambassador's public commentary crossed the line from standard diplomatic engagement into an unacceptable infringement on Canadian sovereignty, failing to maintain the impartiality required of a foreign envoy. So That sums it up. Here's the dilemma, though, that Ottawa it finds itself in with this guy. Trapped between defending domestic sovereignty and avoiding a catastrophic trade retaliation from Washington. I'm so over that, Eddie. We can't go on living our lives tiptoeing around an individual. You've got to deal with it head on. You just get out, ignore, and Carney's out knocking on doors and lining up trade deals. And that's what we have to do. Because nobody is guaranteeing that in another 3 years or 2.5 years, whatever it is now, seems like a lifetime, that anything's really going to change.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats right now don't seem to be really showing any kind of a surge of putting up any sort of solid opposition and or anybody sniffing around for the nomination. So nobody says anything's going to change. So, yeah. And the consequence, well, a public, ugly diplomatic feud right as critical trade agreements come up for renewal. Well, we've been going through that now for a year and a half, really, when you get right down to it. Tell me what's different. We don't need Hoekstra in Canada going on the way he goes on. We just don't. And I'm of the mind now, I'm so fed up with a whole lot of things related to this. What do we really have to lose?
Yeah.
Read them the Riot Act, or read the White House the Riot Act. Get your boy under control, or recall him. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So, what is our takeaway from all of this, Eddie?
Well, in the game of geopolitical chicken with Washington, Canada simply doesn't have the size to force a lane change.